Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay, Atlanta's new standard in payroll. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio. And before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, OnPay. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these important stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Ann Herold with Herold Growth Consulting. Welcome.
Hi, glad to be here.
I'm so excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about your firm. How are you serving folks?
So it's Herold Growth Consulting, and I serve folks through coaching and helping companies and businesses grow. And whether that's through brand building or helping people within the organization grow, that's what I do.
What's your backstory? How'd you get involved in this line of work?
So I have been a marketer for almost 30 years. I started as a frontline associate at McDonald's and gave the birthday parties and wore the Hamburglar costume. And through that, just developed a love for hospitality, great brands, serving others. Had the opportunity to go and work for a big restaurant chain and did that for about 5 years. Then was recruited to Honey Baked Ham and served in all areas of marketing up to the chief marketing officer. From there, I was recruited to Arby's Restaurant Group and headed up brand and communications. Then was recruited to a company called Interface, which is a flooring company that's based here in Atlanta, which is all about purpose and design and sustainability. And then got the opportunity to go back to Honey Baked Ham and serve as their chief marketing officer. So I've had a long career in marketing and helping businesses and teams grow.
Well, one of the things you didn't mention was your book, Living on a Smile, 16 Ways to Live a Big Life and Lead with Love. How did that come about?
So it really was a celebration. It is a celebration of mentors and friends and bosses and people in the community who have helped shape who I am and have given great leadership advice. And so the book is a bit of a memoir, but it's also a guidebook. And each chapter at the end has ways that the reader can talk about their passion or purpose and their whys. So it really was just to honor all the people along the way who have helped me.
If you were to pull one kind of takeaway from the book, what would be a good starting point for some potential reader?
So I did a lot of branding work for companies I'd worked with and helped them develop their why and their values. And through the book, I helped the readers figure out their why, their purpose, their values. And so that's a big takeaway. The chapters are all around passion, purpose, even playlists and how music helps feed the soul.
Now, you recently won an award. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm so honored and humbled that I've been involved with the American Marketing Association for many years, almost 25 years, served as a volunteer at some point, the president, and now I co-lead the executive advisory board. And so was recently honored with the Marketer for Good. And it's an award that's given to somebody who exemplifies using marketing to do good in the community or for the chapter. And so I'm very excited because I love the AMA, and it's such a wonderful gift to receive an organization from that I love so much.
So now let's roll up our sleeves and help some of the listeners. If a listener is struggling with their marketing or their branding, are there some kind of low-hanging fruit that you find that is there for most business people, but they're just not kind of tapping into it?
Well, an easy branding tool for personal branding is LinkedIn, and leverage LinkedIn, using all the tools, whether that's the background photos or your personal profile and recommendations and posting. So that's a great tool. I'm a huge believer in networking and helping others, and I think people can build their brand that way. And it's just, again, using your talents and your good to help others in the community.
Now,
go ahead. I was going to say, a blend of social media, but also really getting out there and being in person.
Now, for you, having come from a lot of work in a corporate setting and now having your own entrepreneurial initiative going with your growth consulting firm, can you share a little bit about how that transition has gone? Because it's a little different working for yourself, right, than it is working for a large organization with tons of resources.
Yeah, and it's been a great learning. I've had a lot of help and mentors give advice. But, some of it's just, setting up my own IT and learning how to do it on YouTube. So it is very different, but I work with some awesome clients who I love. And every one of my clients is purpose driven and trying to do good things in the world. So that's been a real joy. But being an entrepreneur, you do really have to roll up your sleeves. And, one day I'm the accountant, the next day I'm the IT person, and then the rest of the time I'm out working with my clients and trying to help them do great work.
Well, when you define a niche like you have of I'm going to work with purpose-driven organizations, how do you then take that and translate that into a marketing plan to, okay, now how do I find these purpose-driven organizations to even let them know that I exist? How do you go about kind of building a marketing plan that gets you out in front of the people that matter most to you?
Well, some of it is back to what I was saying about LinkedIn is a great tool, but all of my clients have come through referrals. So it's been people I've worked with or people who have referred me to them who think it would be a good fit. So, a lot of it's just letting people know what you're up to and how you can help, and then, reaching out and staying connected.
And then when you do that, how do you create a lot of thought leadership? Like, how do you kind of stay in front of these people in a elegant, non-salesy way, if possible?
So it's coffee or just catching up, going to lunch and, seeing where they might have pain points and ways that I can help. And so a lot of it's just the hustle, but also doing it in a way that's, to your point, not salesy. And it's with a genuine interest to help.
And is there a kind of an early way to do work with you, like a simple way to get a project going? Do you start with like a project and then maybe over time it expands, or do people hire you for like a big initiative?
So I've done a little bit of both. I've done some big brand building projects where it's been around even changing the brand name and helping tell their purpose story. And in that case, I hired some people who, and we call ourselves all the right people who truly are experts in that area, to, maybe a little simple project that turns into a bigger project. So it's a little bit of everything. My model, though, is, if it's a big project and it's out of my wheelhouse or something that I can't do on my own, I will work with other partners to help that client with what they're looking for.
So part of your value proposition is having a robust network, knowing who's out there and who's kind of been vetted and who really are the subject matter experts.
That's absolutely right.
Because at the end of the day, you're just trying to help somebody solve a problem, right? And you might be the right solution, or maybe you can help them point them to the right solution.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And so if sometimes I'm not the right person, because of the networking, I've got a lot of people to tap into. And so sometimes I'll partner up with somebody too.
So what do you need more of? How can we help you?
Oh gosh. More kindness, more good in the world. Others doing random acts of kindness.
Can you share a story maybe that you've come across or maybe you were part of where there was an act of kindness that stood out to you that you were able to share and then kind of pay that kind of instance forward?
Yeah, recently I was at coffee with a friend of mine, and there was a gentleman who was homeless and his feet were hurting him, and we called 911 because he was in a lot of pain. But in the meantime, we noticed that he had worn through his socks and didn't have any shoes. And she quickly ran over to a retail store next door and bought him a bunch of pairs of socks. And what that showed was, even little acts can do good things for somebody. And after she did that, 911 came, and we've been saying good thoughts and sending the gentleman a lot of love.
So if somebody is listening and is part of a purpose-driven company and would like to learn more about your services, is there a website, a way to get the book, a way to connect with you?
Yeah, so the book is on Amazon, and it's called Living on a Smile. It's 16 ways to live a big life and lead with love. And my website is Herold, Herold, growthconsulting.com. And also LinkedIn. Well, I'm very active on LinkedIn and would love to connect.
Well, Joanne, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you next time on Atlanta Business Radio.